Hello friends at home. In this video I will be doing today's math lesson with you. You might have heard I am home for the next couple of days with Grayson. He's not feeling so great, so I'll be recording the videos for you while I'm at home, so we're both at home for the next few days. So in this video, again, I said I will be doing our math lesson, and it is lesson 12.5, which begins on page 471. And we're going to be using a method today called guess and test. And so basically how this method works is when you are given a math problem to solve, before you write it out and solve it, we encourage you to make your best guess as to a ballpark of what you think the answer might be, and then solve and see if you are correct. As we get into bigger numbers and more advanced math, this method will be really helpful because rather than having to trial and error 75 different times, if you make an educated guess, then you can see how close or far you are, and it helps you get to the answer more quickly. So let's get started here. The example says Kate's book is about a group of 90 stars. So you can go ahead and circle 90, and then I'm going to put the number 90 over here because we know that number is important. And it says she draws some stars for her book report, but she doesn't draw all 90 of them. So how many more stars are in the book than in her drawing? So if we count the stars here, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stars. So if we take away those 10 stars from the 90, that should give us that difference or that amount that are the more that are in the book than what she drew. So now what we can do is think about our part whole addition and apply that to our subtraction. So if we know our whole or our total is 90 and we know that one of our parts is 10, then our difference, that other part, will tell us our answer to our question. So the first thing I want you to do without doing any writing or drawing or solving is just in your mind think about the number 90 and the number 10. 90 we know is 9 tens, and 10 we know is 1 10. So without writing anything down, if you were to make your best guess as to what that answer would be, what would your guess be? I guessed 80. If you guessed 80 as well, great guess. If you guessed 70 or 60 or something close to 80, that's fine too. Now we're going to go through and actually solve the problem to test it and see if that's an accurate guess. So I'm going to draw out here for you to do our, what we call a test. And we'll say, if we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 stars, and we're going to take away 10 of those because we know that she drew 10, then this difference should be our answer. So if we count up our difference here, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So our guess was correct. 90 take away 10 is 80. So if we look now down here at the bottom, it says Levi had 70 stamps. So you can go ahead and circle that 70, okay? He has 20 small stamps. So that's the number we're going to be taking away. And that will give us our answer or our difference, okay? So again, we think about part whole. We know 70 is our whole. That's the total amount. 20 is one of the parts. So this other part will give us our missing number or our answer. So if we take our guess, if we think about what we know about the number 70 and the number 20, we know that 70 is 7 tens, and we know that 20 is 2 tens. So 7 tens take away 2 tens, I'm going to guess 5 tens. So my guess is 50. If you guessed the same, great. And if you guessed a different number, that's okay. As you do more of these, you'll get better at your guessing, okay? So now we're going to test our problem here to see if we got the correct answer in our guess. So we'll draw out our 70. That's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And now we're going to take away 10, 20. And that leaves us with this remaining amount, which we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So our answer is 50. Levi has 50, Levi has 50 large stamps, so we were correct in our guess. So if you turn the page now, we're going to be looking at this first problem here. It says Faith makes 50 bookmarks. So go ahead and circle 50. I'm going to write down the number 50 as well. She sells 30 bookmarks. So 30 is the number that we're going to be taking away to find our difference. And then whatever that answer is, that difference will be our correct answer for how many bookmarks she has left. So let's think part, whole. Our whole amount is 50. That's how many bookmarks she made all together. She sold 30 of them, so those 30 are now gone. So we need to figure out this missing part. So let's take our guess. Think about 5 tens minus 3 tens. So my guess is going to be 20 tens. And if we draw that out, doing our test here. So up here I wrote down 20 is my guess. You can write down your guess on the line. And now let's do our test. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And now we're going to take away 30, 10, 20, 30. And that leaves us with 10, 20. So our answer was 20. When we tested it, we got 20. So Faith has 20 bookmarks left. Okay? All right, now we're going to look down here at this table. It says the table shows how many rocks each friend collects. So use the table to guess and test the answer to the question. So the question says, how many more rocks does Sarah have than Rose? So we have rocks on this chart for Maya, but we don't need to use Maya's number of rocks for this problem because we're comparing Sarah and Rose. So to write out our equation or our math sentence, we can say that Sarah has 80. And if we take away Rose's 30, that will equal the difference. So if we think part, whole, we know that our whole or our total is 80. The number that we're taking away is 30. That's our first part. So this other part will be that missing number or our difference. So thinking about what we know about 8 tens and 3 tens, make your best guess right now. What do you think the difference between 80 and 30 is? Now, I'm going to think the difference between 8 and 3 is 5, so the difference between 80 and 30 is probably 50. So 50 is my guess, and go ahead and put your guess on the line. And if your guess is not the same as mine, that's okay. And now we'll test it to see if we got our guess correct. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And we're going to take away 30, so 10, 20, 30. And that leaves us with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So our guess was correct. So over here, when we tested it, we got 50. So Sarah has 50 more rocks than Rose. You can go ahead and cross off the right about it. We're not going to do that one together today. Go ahead now and turn to the next page. Now the next page, front and back, I want you to take a minute, pause the video, spend some time going through the problems, reading the words, figuring out what difference are you looking for, make your best guess and put it on the guess line, and then test it, draw it out or do the subtraction, figure out your answers. And I want you to do that for number 1 on 473, and then turn the page to the back and do number 2, 3, and 4. And when you're all done, unpause the video and you can check your work. So go ahead right now and pause and try to work through those problems. All right, friends, welcome back. Go ahead now and check your answers. So for number 1, my guess was 20. When I tested it, 80 was the whole, and my 2 parts were 60 and 20. So my test was 20 and my answer was 20. So for that one, my guess was correct. If you had that correct, give yourself a star. Looking on the back side, so you turn your page here, it said Leslie had 20 dolls. 10 of them were paper dolls, the rest were rag dolls. So I took 20 as my whole, and my 2 parts were 10 and 10. I guessed 10. When I tested it, I got 10. So the answer was 10. If you had that correct, even if your guess was different than mine, it's okay if we didn't guess correctly, but if you had the test and the answer correct, give yourself a star. Number 3, my guess was 20. If your guess was 20, awesome. If it was different than 20, that's okay because it's your guess. Now for your test and your answer, you should have had 20. So I got that one correct as well because the part would be 20 plus 20 and the whole would be 40. So 40 minus 20 would be 20. And then down here for the chart, we were looking at the difference between 90 and 20. My guess was 50. If you guessed 50, 60, 70, those are all good guesses. But when I worked it out and solved the problem, the actual answer was 70. So for that one, my guess was wrong. And it's okay if your guess isn't always correct. We're just looking for a number close, because then if we subtract it out and say, oh, no, that's not right, we know if we need a much bigger number or a much smaller number. So it helps us get closer to the right answer when we try those educated guesses. So ultimately, you should have had 70 for your answer. So now, boys and girls, if you turn the page again, the next 2 pages actually say homework at the top. I want you to go through now on your own and work through those front and back homework pages. And when you're all done, upload both sides so that Mrs. Hatkoff and I can give you some homework points in the grade book. Okay? It was wonderful seeing you today. Bye, friends at home.